Hi, my name is Ivan, and now it's my pre-defense, and I'm gonna present my PhD dissertation. And my topic is the effect of Asian students' culture on perceptions of blended learning instructional design. And here about the problem statement here, I want to share one short story with you. When I came here in the beginning, I still remember that's my second semester, and then the instructor told us, "Oh, we don't need to come to the school. We don't need to come to class every time. And sometimes we can just stay at home and turn on your laptop and you can enjoy the class." And I thought, wow, that's so cool. I don't need to come to school every time and then I save gas, save my time. And a couple weeks later, I found like I didn't like it too much. Why? Because sometimes I face some like problem like when I try to ask the question, when I figure out what's the question, what's the problem, and then when I try to ask the question, and when I try to click the button, raise my hand, and the class they already finished the conversation, they already finished the question. So I think like I didn't like it too much, and so from this short story, my experience, I found like two things. The first one is I noticed like more and more people they use the technology resources in the classroom in the US. Okay, and then the second one, I think not only just me face like this kind of like challenge, the barriers. So I back to the literatures and I found some information like Fonda 2012 and the Kim 2011, So 2009, and also Stacy 2007. They mentioned like the traditional face-to-face still very important and cannot be fully eliminated. Okay, so we still need to keep the traditional face-to-face in education field. Okay, so I found more information about this. Now all the people use the blended learning. The blended learning is the ideal and the best way in like higher education. But however, due to the globalization and the internationalization, more and more international students they study in the United States. And during the school year 2013 and 2014, there are over 800,000 international students they study in the United States. So more and more intercultural and the international dimensions into the academic activities. Okay, so some factors cause the Asian international students more like the barriers and challenges. Okay, the Asian international student who come from the Confucianism, okay, they have some different and unique cultural backgrounds and also some different communication patterns, different like they use different language or some like different learning styles. Okay, so the cultural differences is important influential factors for Asian international students to use the blended learning. Okay, um, so sometimes like for the Asian international student, this like particular population or some like the certain situation, even if we use the blended learning, sometimes still limited to learn. So I found more like the researchers. Okay, um, and we can see the researchers in blue color. Okay, from the researchers research. Okay, they mention like most international students they like use blended learning and they get a lot of benefit from the blended learning. But we can check the researchers here in red color. They have some different result. From their researchers, they mention like the international students when they use the blended learning, they face some like the barriers and the challenges. Okay, when they use the blended learning. So that's kind of like my problem statement. So for the research gap here, because the differences between the Asian culture and the Western culture, okay, and the cultural conflict caused by the lack of the cultural understanding, The Western instructors' lack of understanding about the Asian students' communication patterns and also the cultural backgrounds, and which caused the barriers and challenges to the Asian international students from different culture and also the communication patterns. Okay, so this study addressed the research gap by examining the Asian international students' perspective on blended learning. So here's about the theoretical framework here. Maslow's theory, the transformative learning theory, and also the Paul and the John 2007 2012 from their the communication and the interaction theory here. They mention it's very important how people share and translate information to obtain the experiences, the different experiences. Okay, and the communication patterns and also the cultural diversity as like an important part of the learning process. So for my list study, I use the main theory. I use the Hofstede cross-cultural dimensions to show like the characteristics of the communication patterns. So here is a theoretical framework of communication patterns of Asian blended learning and also the Western. Okay, we know the Asian and the Western culture, they are different, and we can check the Asian culture here. Most Asian people, okay, they have like a high power distance, means the society handle the unequal distribution of power. Okay, so they have the strong hierarchical structure. Okay, so also they have the high score of the uncertainty avoidance, means the degree to which a society is comfortable with like uncertainty. And for the Asian people, they have high score, so they kind of like tend to be like conservative, strict conventions, and also norms. Okay, and also they care about like the collectivism. They would like the work together. Okay, sometimes when they try to answer the question, okay, by themselves, if just by themselves, if they answer something wrong, they will feel like losing face. So they care about like saving face and also the loyalty to the group. They want to do something right for the group. Also, they are like family centeredness, passive. Sometimes they always follow the guide from the instructor. Okay, they passive, and also the teacher lead instruction, and they use more like nonverbal communication, and also they are like high context. Okay, so for the Western culture, they are different. Okay, they have the low power distance, equality, low uncertainty avoidance, openness, individualism, self-oriented, okay, and also active learning. Sometimes they learn something, by themselves, the active learning, and also the teacher support instruction. Okay, and they share communication, and they use more verbal communication, and they have like some like the low context. Okay, so when I compare the blended learning and the Western culture, I found they have some like similar characteristics. Okay, and then we can check here the blended learning and also the Western culture. Okay, so the blended learning, they have the low power distance. Okay, and then the openness, individualism, they focus on the when they use the blended learning, they emphasis on the individual achievement and also the accomplishment. Okay, and also the self-oriented active learning. Okay, teachers just support the instruction and also the shared communication. So I think that's why the Asian international student, they cannot 100% fit in blended learning. Okay, because blended learning, they have some like the similar characteristic with the Western culture. So that's why when the Asian international student get into the Western classroom, and then when they use the blended learning, they cannot 100% fit in the blended learning, and they probably feel like a little bit uncomfortable in the class. Okay, so for the contribution and the significance here, from the early researchers, the most researchers like the Jeffrey 2010, Wang Champagne 2009, Connor 2010, and Gary 2011, and some more research always focus on the effect of the blended learning among K-12 level, undergraduate and graduate level, and the little is known the Asian international students' communication patterns and also the cultural differences affect their experience in blended learning environment. So from this research, we will know about like how Asian international students they are doing in the blended learning courses, and also what's the reason, what kind of characteristics limited learning. Okay, and also after we get a result, and then we know how to improve it. Okay, provide some suggestions and the useful instructional need for the instructors. Okay, so this study kind of like the first study on the impact of the blended learning related to the cultural factors and also the cultural dimensions of the Asian international students. And this study can increase the body of the knowledge that is related to the blended learning technology in the Western international classroom. Okay, and also provide the instructor and also the educators the different perspective of the cross culture and then also the communication patterns of Asian international students, and also provide an adjustment for their future instructional strategy and also provide a useful instructional need. So the hypothesis here we know like the from the literature, the reason Asian students are having trouble is the conflict between the Eastern and the Western culture, the cultural differences. Okay, so the hypothesis we made it from this study is the blended learning is designed for Western communication patterns and the classroom cultures that do not fit the student from the Confucian culture heritage. Okay, so for the statistic hypothesis here, the hypothesis here, the performance of Asian international students is poor or like lower success rate compared to the general population, meaning the Western students. Okay, so the purpose of the study here, this study is to identify whether blended learning affect Asian international students' performers, the Asian international student who come from the Confucian culture in higher education, and to investigate their attitude of using the blended learning. Okay, so it's kind of compare the blended learning's characteristics and also the Confucian culture. Okay, and to see the current blended learning design, okay, affect the Asian international students' experience, learning experience, and also the learning opportunities, and also the interaction, and to see like how to improve it. So more specifically, the purpose here, to determine the whether Asian students have more difficulty in blended learning than general population. And also the second one, to identify what makes the Asian students experience more difficult in blended learning environment. And also the purpose 3, to identify what would make Asian students experience better in blended learning environment. Okay, so for my research questions, the research question 1, are Asian students less successful than non-Asian students in blended learning courses? Okay, so for this one, I use the frequency analysis and also the one simple case test of proportion. Okay, we know the blended learning is designed for Western culture. Okay, and for Asian international students, they may have like poor performers than the Western students. So I use the research question 1 to find out the hypothesis. Okay, so for my research question 2, what are the characteristics of blended learning that improve the learning experience and increase the opportunities for Asian students? Okay, so for research question 2, I use the one simple t-test and also the frequency analysis to answer like what characteristics of the blended learning to improve Asian international students' learning, and also what characteristics of the Confucianism to limited Asian international students' learning. Okay, so for my research question 3, what are the relationship among the experience, increased opportunities, and also interaction in blended learning courses? I use the For my research question 3, I used the factor analysis to find the 3 components. Okay, and also the correlation coefficient, Pearson correlation coefficients to see like the degree of the relationship and also the connections for the three components of the variables. Okay, so for my research question 4, what's the relationship between the performers, I mean the final grade, and also the technological skill of the instructor to improve the students' experience? Okay, so for this one, I use the Spearman correlation coefficients, okay, to find out the answer. And for this one, um, the community, okay, for the item 21, okay, the item 21 is the effect of the instructor's better technological skill on Asian international students' learning experiences. For this one, okay, the community for this item was 0.263, which is too low. So what this one was deleted from the further inclusions in the PCA analysis and evaluated separately. So I put in the research question 4, okay, and then I use the Spearman correlation coefficients to like know the effect of the instructor's technology skill on Asian international students' learning experience. Okay. So for my research question 5, how could the blended learning environment be changed to be better support Asian students? Okay, I use this one. I use the qualitative analysis, okay, to answer like what the Asian international students need and also the preferences and also their attitude about blended learning. And then try to get the answer, what's their need, what are their preferences, what's their attitude, and try to find the correct rhetorics and also find the answer to how to improve it for the future generation of the Asian international students. Okay, so for my research design, this study uses the quantitative methodology with the qualitative analysis support, and I use the survey research design, and then the instrument I use is survey questionnaire. The survey questionnaire is created by the University of Central Florida and also the American Association State College and Universities. I got the permission from them, okay, and after I modify the survey questionnaire, including 36 questions, including 9 demographic questions, 26 closed-ended questions, and also 1 open-ended questions. And the most questions is like a skill range from 1 to 5 to find out the answer for the research questions, okay. And the information I received, I put it in the SPSS, the spreadsheet, and also I use the descriptive statistic, inferential statistic, and also the qualitative analysis to answer the 5 research questions. And about the sample and the setting here, more and more Asian international students that study in the United States. Like I mentioned, during the school year 2014, there are over 800,000 international students that study in the United States. And then for the Asian international students, the number is greater than 50%, 57% of the all international students. And then we can check here the top places of origin of international students in the US, okay? And we can check here the Asian international student around like 29% from China and 12% from India and also 9% from Korea and also the Japan, Vietnam and Taiwan total is like 7%. Okay, but for this study, the Asian international student come from the India, they are not belong to this study because the people they are not in the belong to the Confucianism. So the Asian international student from India won't be in this study. Okay, it'll be deleted. And so the Asian international students variety of the backgrounds, like the different communication patterns, different cultural background, different experiences, which what I need for this study. Okay, so I sent in a survey questionnaire through the through the international student offices. Okay, and a total survey return is the 226 return, and including 174 online and 54 hard copies. Okay, and I did it I did 16 cases, okay, with the missing data in more than 3 items responses, okay. So after the data cleaning, I got 210 participants in this study. Okay, and then the 210 Asian international students, the participant, they from the 4 university and colleges, including 1 private university, 1 public university, and the 2 community colleges. Okay, so now it's my finding, the finding of the descriptive analysis. Okay, there are 3 groups of the variables were organized, okay, according to the relationship and also the characteristics. And the first group is the demographic group, including the gender, age, and the country. The second one is the education and the immigration information, including the visa status, English certification, number of years in the US, and also the educational institutions. And then the third group is the blended learning experiences, including the type of the blended learning courses, persistence in blended learning, and also the reason for withdrawal from the blended learning courses. So more specifically, okay, the finding of the descriptive analysis here for the age. Most participants their age is between is 21 to 25. Okay, they are 40% of the participants. Okay, and about the country, most participants they come from Taiwan and China. Taiwan 25% and China is 26%. Okay, so this one about a student visa. The second group about student visa. Around 90% of the participants they are holding their student visa and study in the United States. And also about their English certification. Around 88% of the participants they have their English certification already and they study in the United States. And also the years around 68% of the participants they already been in the United States up to 5 years. Okay, and also about the educational institution, most participants are from the University A and the College B. So next one, that's the third group. Okay, about the type of the blended learning, the participants they use for their blended learning courses. The most participants blended learning type are they are use the online format for their classes. Okay, for their blended learning courses. For example, they use the YouTube, they use Google or like Facebook, some like online resources for their blended learning courses. Okay, and around 37% use the both. They use the online format and also the learning management system. Okay, and around just 10% they only use the learning management system. The learning management system I kind of like use of the software application of the educational technology. So for example, like they use the Blackboard, they use Wimba, they use Moodle, or like the Desire to Learn. This kind of the software application for their blended learning courses. Okay, and here just few people. Okay, for the withdrawal reason here, just few people they withdraw from the blended learning courses, just around 8%. And then the reason, the 8%, the participant right here. Okay, and then the main reason they withdraw from the blended learning courses is the educational differences and also the conflict with the instructors. Okay, so from here we know the instructor play a very important role in blended learning courses. So I think the instructor need to spend more time on get more understand what's the Asian international student different culture, what kind of like the characteristics they have, or what kind of classroom culture they have in the classroom. So for my research question one, okay, uh, are Asian students less successful than non-Asian students in blended learning courses? Okay, I used the frequency analysis and one simple case test of proportions, okay, to find the answer. Okay, so there is a significant right here. There's a significant differences in the proportion of Asian international students who pass, and also the general population who passed. Okay, and the Z value is 7 and 83. Okay, and in the opposite directions than was expected. Okay, so the hypothesis we made is the success rate of Asian students in blended learning courses is less than or equal to the success rate of the general population. Okay, so from the result here, we can check here. There are around 95% of Asian international students were successful in blended learning courses. So means the answer is the Asian international students are not less successful than non-Asian international students in blended learning courses. And we also can say their performance is higher than the non-Asian students here. Okay, so they did a very good job in the blended learning courses, not like the hypothesis we made. Okay, so for my research question 2. Okay, what are the characteristics of blended learning that improve the learning experience and also increase the opportunities for Asian students? Okay, and for this one, I use the frequency analysis and also the one simple t-test. Okay, and then we can check here the lower value. The lower values of differences show the one simple t-test of difference from a neutral 3 responses was significant and negative for every item. Was all negative. Okay, so also means this participant did not feel the characteristics. Okay, the characteristics right here made their experience better in the blended learning courses, and all effect size were greater than point 0.8 and then the standard deviation is below the mean. Okay, and I also did the frequency analysis and I count the differences here. Okay, so more participants agree or strong agree the flexibility and also the better quality of technology resources can improve their experience. So they think the flexibility and also the better quality technology resources can, like these two characteristics probably can like improve their learning experience in blended learning courses. Okay, and they were more negative. Okay, on the reminder of the items, and particularly like here they don't like work alone independently. Okay, and also they don't like the need for the critical thinking. They don't like do like too much the critical thinking activities. Okay, and also the need to depend only on the verbal communication. They when they get into the blended learning courses, sometimes they use too much like the verbal communication, so they feel uncomfortable in like only on the verbal communication. Okay, so next one, that's the increased opportunities. The second component here, the increased opportunities. Okay, so the same thing, the lower values of the differences show the one simple t-test of the differences from a neutral 3 responses was significant and negative for every items. Okay, so also means this participant did not feel the characteristics increase their learning opportunities. Okay, right here, did not like increase their learning opportunities, and also the all effect size were greater than point 0.8 and the standard deviation below the mean. Okay, so we also can check the differences from the frequency analysis here. The more participants agree or like um the responses to all items about the increased opportunities were like more negative right here. It's more negative right here. So the result shows none of the items increased opportunities for Asian international students to learn. Okay, and then the specific characteristics of blended learning were most negative were right here. They have like the low level of the student engagement. Okay, they didn't get too much like the engagement from the blended learning courses, and also the low access to the resources, the lack of the resources when they in the blended learning courses, and also the low level of the understanding of the course requirements and also the low opportunity to reflect. Okay, and then we can check this one. The more likely to get a degree because of blended learning. This one's got also got a very low value here. Okay, and they feel less likely to get a degree. Okay, but for here I back to the literature and I found some more information about this. They want to get a degree not because of blended learning. It's because they want to have like a different learning experience and also the knowledge from the US, not because of blended learning. So they're not because, oh, I like the blended learning and I come to United States and I study in the United States. No, they want to get a different experience, okay, and a different knowledge from the US. Okay. And then the third component here, the interaction. Okay. And then we can also check here. The lower value of the differences show that the one simple t-test of the differences from a neutral 3 response was significant and negative for every item. Here's all negative for every item. Okay. And it indicate that like the participants feel like they didn't get like better interaction in the blended learning courses. And also the all effect size were greater than point A and the standard deviation is below the mean. Okay. So all responses were more negative, but the item about the amount of the interaction with other students was minimal. So okay, so we can check here. They got like not too bad the interaction with their peers. Okay, but we can check here the amount with the instructor and the quality with the instructor got a very low value right here. So I think the majority of the participants report less and poor interaction with the instructor in blended learning courses. Okay, and they want and also they need more interaction with the instructor. Okay, so the role of the instructor and the educator is very important in blended learning courses, and they have to spend more time with the Asian international student in blended learning courses. Okay. So next one for my research question 3. What are the relationship among experience, increased opportunities, and also interaction in blended learning courses? So for this one, okay, I use the Pearson correlation to see the degree of the connections or relationship for the 3 components. Okay, and before I conduct the Pearson correlation coefficient, I did the the PCA, the principal component analysis, and also the Cronbach alpha. Okay, the PCA, the principal component analysis, is applied as a data reductions and also the structure detections method for the, and also I use this one to test the validity. Okay, and I use the PCA. I got 3 components. Okay, the first one is the experience, the learning experience. The second one, increased learning opportunities, and also the third one, the interaction here. Okay, and these 3 components can be explained 65.4% variance in the data. Okay, so which is good. And also the PCA. When I conduct the PCA, I receive a KL value. It's 0.93A, and all factor loading were greater than 0.3, so which is good. Okay, so also I conduct the Cronbach alpha. Okay, and then this one is like a measure of the internal consistency. So I use the Cronbach alpha to measure the reliability for this study for the variables. Okay, and then the value of the alpha are high enough for reliability of data, which are 0.93, 0.92, and 0.88. Okay, which are good. And the list analysis, okay, are advanced. That like the sums of the items responses are reasonable measure of the construct of the 3 components. Then I conduct the correlation coefficient. I use the the Pearson correlation coefficients to see what's the relationship among the three components. Okay, and the Pearson correlation indicate like a strong positive relationship between the perceptions of the experience and also the opportunities, and also a moderate positive correlation between the perceptions of the experience and also the interaction, and a moderate positive correlation between the perceptions of the opportunities and also the interaction. Okay, so from the Pearson correlation, we know there is a positive correlation among the three components. Okay, and then the variable have a moderate and strong positive correlation, and then the connections. So these three components are related and are useful for this research, and it's very good for the analysis. Okay, so for my research question 4, what's the relationship between the performance and the perceptions that the technological skill of the instructor will improve the student's experience? Okay, I use this one. Okay, there is a significant low value, there's a significant low to moderate correlation between the performers and the better technological skill of instructor. Okay, and we can check here. Only like 33% of the participants they did not agree. Okay, so more than half participants they agree that like the instructor with better skill in technology will make their experience better in blended learning courses. Okay, so then we can check here. In final grade A, most participants they agree the instructor with better technology skill can make their experience better. Okay, in blended learning courses. And we can check the final grade C. Most participants they disagree or strongly disagree. The instructor with better skill can improve their blended learning experience. Okay, so from here we know the Asian students with higher grade thought the instructor's technology skill was more important than the lower grades Asian international students. And the next one is my research question 5. Okay, so for this one, how could the blended learning environment be changed to be better support Asian students? And I use the qualitative analysis. Okay, after the word analysis and analyze like the participant responses from the open-ended questions. Okay, uh, there are 5 domains of responses: the positive satisfaction, okay, and also interaction, and also language, resources, and training. Okay, there are around 40% of the participants. They they say like they from their response they shows like the positive satisfaction about blended learning courses. Okay, and then they would like to have more blended learning courses in the future. And then around 33% of the participant, okay, they think the increase the training in technology will improve blended learning experience. They would like to attend the workshop or some more trainings before they get into the blended learning courses. Okay, or during the blended learning courses they want to have more trainings. Okay, and get ready for their blended learning courses. And then around 29% of the participants they think improve the resources or the better support of Asian students learning in blended learning courses. Okay, so for this one they try to get some more like resources, probably the translator, okay, or some more like the resources to improve their blended learning experience. And around 40% they think improve their English or better support of Asian students learning in blended learning courses. Okay, they think they can make some like the English speaker like the American friend and the practice like their like English ability get better, and they think use this way can better support of their learning in blended learning courses. Okay, and the last one, around 10% I think increase the interaction with a better support of Asian students learning in blended learning courses. So from here, okay, they like care most about the increase the training in technology, okay, and like they think the increase the training can better support their learning. And then the second one is improve the resources. Then they think the third place is improve English, and then the last one is increase the interaction. Okay, so let's back to the this one, improve the resources. From research question 2, the result shows like low value for the access to the resources. So for the Asian international student, they need some more support for resources. Okay, probably the school can provide some like translator or some like the resources, iPad or some like some device for them, for the Asian international students they use in the blended learning courses. Okay, so here's my discussion here. Okay, so in the earlier researches, the earlier studies, they mentioned like the hypothesis we made is for the success rate. Okay, the Asian international student they like were less successful than non-Asian international students in blended learning courses. Okay, and then the cultural influences of the Confucianism affect the experience of blended learning for Asian students. Okay, and the different culture and the backgrounds. Okay, because of the different cultures and the different they come from different countries and they have different backgrounds, especially for the Asian students. There are many factors cause the barriers and challenges for them, and then one of the most important ones is the cultural differences, okay, which influence their educational technology. Okay, and some like the sub factors such as the different communication patterns, the technological proficiency, and their language ability, and also the interaction with the peers, classmate, or the instructor, and also the online learning experiences. Okay, so these cultural differences cause the challenge. Okay, and the Asian international students from the Confucian culture, these these barriers cause like the Asian students from the Confucian culture do not like 100% fit in the Western classroom culture. Okay, due to some characteristics they have from the Confucianism, like they have like high context, nonverbal communication. They use more like nonverbal communication and like high power distance and high like, uncertainty avoidance and the collectivism, hierarchy, and also conservatism, passive teacher lead instruction. Okay, however, let's continue the discussion here. However, okay, from the result, the Asian international students self-reported a high success rate in blended learning courses, okay, and much higher than the success rate of the general population. So from the result, okay, they have a high success rate. Means like we know they did some change, they did some effort to overcome the barriers and challenges. Okay, so from the result, the Asian international students they like interaction with peers, okay, and the flexibility and also like better quality technology resources are the characteristics of blended learning to help the most to make them like better experience in the blended learning courses. So they kind of like use like the interacting with peers, get some more help from the classmate, okay, and they go to different the workshop, more trainings, okay, and also like improve the resources. They have their own they probably bring their own resources, their own device, and also improve their language ability. Okay, so that they overcome the barriers and challenges and they show the high success rate in blended learning courses. And then during the process, the instructor play a very important role. Okay, so for the instructor, they have to do something to help the Asian international student. They can like make better and better performers. Even they have like the high success rate, but they can try to like help them to make like better performers. Okay, so the Asian international student they need for more like structured, okay, structured and also the guided blended learning, and then also they need like more instructor lead instruction. Okay, the instructor spend more time with the Asian international students or use more the nonverbal communication. Okay, sometimes the instructor can use some like the body language or like spend more time, probably like 40% use the blended the online learning, and probably 60% still like stay in the classroom to help the Asian international student feel better in blended learning courses, and also more face-to-face contact. Okay, and the better technology resources provided from the school, okay, or the instructor, and also like the instructor with better skill in technology. The instructor can go to some more trainings to like learn how to use the technology resources for the blended learning courses. Okay, so that way the Asian international student will have like better performance than now and get more benefit for from blended learning courses, and then they can implement like higher level learning and also more like critical thinking, self-learning, and also to obtain more useful and multiple knowledges from the Western classroom. Okay, so for the recommendations and the implications, okay, when the instructors fail to change the role from the traditional delivery to the blended learning instruction, they will increase the uncertainty and also decrease the Asian students' performance. Okay, so the Asian international student they worry about their anxiety. It's like they don't like work alone. Okay, too much, or they worry about their English ability and also the quality and the amount of interaction and also the resources, lack of the resources, and also the need for training instructors. Okay, so for this one, okay, when the instructors, okay, and also their instructional strategy with considering about like the cultural values and also the communication patterns, okay, they can make the effective improvement for the Asian international students' performers. So part of the change and some suggestions for the instructor. The first one, we have to understand the instructors have to understand what's the characteristics, the different characteristics from the Asian international students, okay, and what kind of the classroom culture they have, okay. And the second one, re-educated the instructors. They can go to some more trainings and also get some more information, do some more researches. And this study, it's a very good resource for them to learn and to get the information. And also the third one, for the school, they have to change the way the higher education institutions are organized, managed, and also the planned. Okay, so for this one, um so more specifically here, the instructor should allow the Asian international student work in like the group activities and also the project which support the characteristic of the Confucianism, the collectivism. Okay, so if the instructor can let the Asian international student work in the group, they can get more confidence and also they can feel more comfortable in the blended learning courses. Probably when they do the blended learning courses, the online one, they can get in a group. Okay, everybody group meet in the at the library and then do the online class together. Okay, and also from the instructor they can get like more interaction with the instructor and more resources from the instructor and the schools. Okay, some translate device. Okay, so also they can attend and provide more workshops and also the trainings. Okay, and which need to combine the multicultural and also the technology. And both instructor and the student have to adopt like new roles. Okay, and the instructor need training in the use of the appropriate technology, but more fundamentally in the instructional design of the diversity and the multicultural and also the different communication patterns. So for the limitations and the suggestions for future studies. Okay, this study is limited research funding, so unable to go outside of the southwestern Texas region. So the data were collected from the current region, the southwestern Texas region. Okay, and the second one is the self-report. This study used the survey research design, so the research cannot like the accompany like or like monitor the participant when they do the survey. So the self-report is gonna be the second limitation in this study. And the third one, because of the focus of the study, okay, this study just analyzed like one dimensions, which is the Confucianism. So the future study, some suggestions for the future study here. The for the survey data can be explored through the other cultural dimensions, like from the different like the learning the lifestyles, okay, the family backgrounds, or some like the learning styles. Okay, and this will extend the value of a cultural framework of blended learning. Okay, and also a future survey can be planned to collect data from learners of other regions. Okay, so probably can go outside of the southwestern Texas region or even outside of the United States. Okay, and the third one is the future research can explain to all international students the different population. Okay, and comparing and analyzing the differences and the characteristics among the international students from the various countries, from different countries. Okay, so for the conclusion here, okay, this study after like this study complete the reviewing and also exploring the existing literatures and also some scholarly works, and also conducting the surveys, identifying and comparing the multicultural issues, and also analyzing the data and identifying the conflict between the Confucianism and also the Western culture. The suggestions and the implementations of this finding are discussed. Okay, so after this one, we know what the reason why, what kind of characteristics limited the Asian international students learning, and make like the Asian international student cannot like 100% fit in blended learning courses, and why they don't like it. Okay, okay, and also from the result, we also provide suggestions to like how to improve it for the instructor and also the school. Okay, so this study kind of like increased the body of knowledge that are related to learning technology in the Western classroom. Okay, and when the educators understand the cultural conflict, and also with considering about the cultural values and also the characteristics of the communication patterns, okay, the adjustment made by the instructors and the policy makers can ease the dilemma, okay, and the anxiety of the cultural conflict for Asian international students, and make them have the higher performers, okay, or gain more like the confidence in the blended learning courses. Okay, so this is like kind of like a pedagogical benefit to identify Asian students perceptions concerning the benefit that increase the course effectiveness, and also the challenges that decrease the course's effectiveness. So in sum, the study can provide like the instructors the different perspectives about the Asian international students, classroom culture, and some like unique characteristics, okay, of the Confucianism, and also the unique communication patterns to adjust like the current instructional strategy, instructional design, and provide a useful instructional need. Okay, and increase and also the higher the performance and also the confidence for the future generation of the Asian international students. And this is my presentation, and thank you very much. Thank you.